Let's go. Like Mike from the year 2002, starring Lil Bow Wow, is a movie about a child who is given sneakers that belong to Michael Jordan, and then the sneakers get electrocuted by lightning while Lil Bow Wow also gets electrocuted by lightning, and then the lightning gives the shoes the powers of Michael Jordan, the basketball abilities, if you will. So Lil Bow Wow gets drafted to the NBA. It's an absolutely insane plot, and we'll get into the logistics of it in a bit. I have it in my notes, but first things first, let's look at the Rotten Tomatoes page. So I thought the critics would like absolutely have hated this, but it has a little higher than than I thought.
It's a better review score for a kids movie than what you'd think.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I thought that it was gonna be like in the 30s, but it's 57%, almost fresh. So at least they recognize that it's not a bad kids movie. It's ridiculous, but it's a movie, so you know, let it get away with a little bit. 52% audience score, so similar ratings. The audience liked it apparently slightly less, at least according to Rotten Tomatoes. Critics' consensus: a pleasant and innocuous diversion for kids, but adults may have trouble sitting through the movie's predictable plot lines and schmaltz. And yeah, I get that point of view, but I didn't mind this. There were a couple parts that maybe dragged a little bit for me, but overall, it's pretty cute and lovable, I'd say. Let's go down to the reviews. Lil Bow Wow in Family Friendly Fantasy. How is that a review? That's just a statement. 3. But I mean, it's true. I mean, they just take a little snippet, but it's funny when they take a snippet of the review that doesn't really make sense. Summer weight but winsome basketball fantasy. That's another positive review. Let's find a negative one. Director John Schultz's movie is as lame and predictable as you'd imagine, and it's chock full of orphanage cliches. So what?
Well, honestly, the high point of the cliches for me was the main villain kid being a ginger. I don't know why that was so funny to me, but it was.
Because it's relatable.
Maybe it's just my ginger coming out, but yeah.
It's relatable to you because you're a ginger. And that kid, who is the villain kid, the bully, he plays Todd in Breaking Bad. So it's kind of fun. And he's...
Oh, wait, he grew up to be Todd?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's him. I'm pretty sure that's Todd from Breaking Bad.
I think they have the same face, yeah.
Yeah, no, it's him. I'm like 99% sure. And we'll
he went from Mike to being one of the most hated characters in television. Bravo.
Yeah, I mean, that shows range, though, that's for sure. And he was also in a movie that I liked recently called Windfall that no one talks about with Jason Segel. I really liked that movie, but he's in it too. But anyway, I digress. Let's read some more of this stuff. A fantasy fable that should keep everyone in the family entertained. That's a positive review. As predictable as a Lakers championship. That's kind of funny. Even though I don't know sports that well. That's kind of funny. The irritatingly feeble basketball movie for kids is co-produced by the NBA. That's true. For whom it is pretty candidly designed as a giant feature-length commercial. Well, yeah, but so is fucking Space Jam. So this is basically Space Jam, but not without cartoons. But it kind of is like a live-action cartoons in some ways. But yeah, that's the Rotten Tomatoes. Let's look at the IMDb, and we'll get into like the cast and stuff. 5.3 out of 10, so that's like roughly the same as the audience score on Rotten Tomatoes. I do think it deserves a little higher than that, but IMDb, it's hard to get a high rating, so I'm not too mad about that. Lil Bow Wow is Calvin. His real name is Shad Moss. It's telling me, but come on, it's Lil Bow Wow. Jonathan Lipnicki is Murph, and he was in like Stuart Little, and let's click on his name. I'm curious. Yeah, Stuart Little. I knew it. He's in that vampire movie. I forget what it's called. Jerry Maguire. Yes, that's right. I reviewed that a little while ago. And of course, like Mike, and he's into some TV show like recently called The Resident, but I haven't seen that. He's on one episode of it apparently. according to this. I don't really know anything about that show, so let's just go back to the cast. Because there's a lot of notable cast in this. Jesse Plemons and Morris Chestnut. That's a fucking good name. Morris Chestnut. I like that. He plays Tracy Reynolds, who's the basketball player. He's not a real basketball player. I thought maybe he was.
I'm actually going to tell a fact a little bit about this.
Do it.
So most of the people were kind of like from minor leagues, or they didn't get a lot of NBA players unless they were cameos.
Okay, that makes a lot of
That's
sense.
why the basketball team in the movie is fake, because there was no way they were getting all the NBA players they needed for a full movie.
Yeah, and they got some for cameos and stuff. But,
yeah. And the fun fact about the Vince Carter one is that was literally last minute. It was supposed to be Kobe, but Kobe's team kept not connecting the guy.
Oh, yeah, I see. That's the way it works out sometimes. So let's talk about Brenda Song then. Because that's who plays one of the friends in here. And we were talking about her a little while ago. She's in the show The Sweet Life of Zack and Cody. She plays London Tipton. But another fact that I wanted to drop about Brenda Song is that she's married to Macaulay Culkin now. So that's a fun fact. And I think they're happy together, as far as I know, anyway. And let's look at her IMDb page. She's in a show...
I don't think she's been doing a lot of acting recently, but I could be wrong. You're just gonna say it, though?
You're wrong. She was in a show called Dollface from 2019 to 2022. So that's relatively recent. Something from 2019 called Secret Obsession that has a 4.5 on IMDb, so it's probably not good. Oh, and she's in The Social Network. She plays... Yeah. That was a while ago, though.
Well, that's what I mean. That was like her last major movie appearance.
But Dollface. I'm just kidding. I don't know this show either. No, I get what you're saying, though. Amphibia, she voiced... It's an animated show. I think she voiced a character on that. But yeah, that's her IMDb page. Let's go back to the movie IMDb page. And Robert Forster, who is also on Breaking Bad. He plays the guy who gives people a second chance at life and like witness protection, basically, or whatever. He's the guy who works at the vacuum store, and he died right before they released the El Camino, the Breaking Bad movie, but they managed to get him in it right before that. So that's kind of funny that also him and who's that guy? Not Jonathan Livney. Jesse Plemons, yeah. Jesse Plemons and Robert Forster were both in Breaking Bad, which is kind of funny because this was long before that, obviously. Right. There's, again, so much notable cast. So let's keep talking about cast. Crispin fucking Glover, who plays Stan Biddleman, who's like sort of the guy who runs the orphanage that Lil Bow Wow and all the kids are in. And he plays a really good... He starts out sort of like on your team, or on the... like as the good guy, or so you think, because he's running the orphanage, but you find out pretty quick that he's sleazy and he becomes the villain. And he does a good job. I like Crispin Glover because he's so unique with his acting, and there's no one else that can really get that sort of vibe for me than Crispin Glover, and he did a good job in this movie. And of course, I think this is the last person we'll talk about on the cast, but Eugene Levy, the hardest working eyebrows in show business. He is always good. Maybe best known now for American Pie and Schitt's Creek, but he is in so much shit. Soul Man, this movie. He's the only person, because there's like 10 American Pie movies and not all of them have the whole cast in it, but he is the one time factor through all. He's in every single one of the American Pie movies. So that's kind of funny. I watched them all a while ago, and fuck, some of them are really bad. But anyway, we're not talking about American Pie. We're talking about Like Mike, and we're not even talking about Like Mike 2 Street Ball. That's another movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it looks like it's a lot worse. Just from the IMDb.
Well, that's what direct-to-video does.
Oh, it didn't even have a theatrical release.
No.
I didn't know that. But it has 4.1 on, which is pretty rough. And Agent Cody Banks has 5.1. It's just showing me all these other movies that are similar. That's why I'm looking at them. But let's look at this user review, featured review. This looks kind of funny. Magical Nike's okay with me is the headline of the review. Like Mike was one of those fun family movies I never had high expectations of the movie going in, and subsequently I was pleasantly surprised. It is no masterpiece, some of us beg to differ, but it is definitely a worthwhile piece. Bow Wow was decent, as was the script. Yeah, I mean, like some people say, it's full of cliches, but I do think Bow Wow did a good job. The movie held an even keel throughout, never getting too dull, but also never having a real riotous moment. Sorry. Obviously, the movie was a bit of a fantasy with a boy finding mystical shoes that gave him the skills of Michael Jordan. But hey, that's what made the movie as good as it was. I like the idea of using a kid as opposed to an adult so as to make the movie more entertaining. In fact, it reminds me of a story I wrote for a 6th grade project. All in all, a good movie, certainly better than average. I don't know about better than average, but I did like it. But they clearly loved it, and I get it. It's close to their heart, I understand. So this didn't even do crazy well, but it made its budget back double, so that's a success in my book. Budget 30 million, and then it grossed 62 million worldwide. So not crazy, but it was not a flop, so that's good. And that's it for the IMDb page. And I'm gonna look at my notes now, and I have a lot more notes on this one than I did for Hot Shots Part 2, so bear with me. Hot Shots Part 2. No, we want Like Mike notes now. Okay, so this was already said, but yes, it's in association with NBA Entertainment. And we already said this as well. Bully is Todd from Breaking Bad. Bully wins the jersey just to destroy it. So Jesse Plemons, or his name in this movie, Ox, he at the beginning of the movie he does a game of 1-on-1 with Lil Bow Wow, and if he wins, then he gets his jersey that Lil Bow Wow's winning, and he wins. The bully wins. So he takes the jersey, and then he just destroys it. It's like, I get that he's the villain at this point, and he's a bully, but, like, really? You're just going to destroy it? Like, you could keep it. You could sell it. You could do more. I guess he just gets so much joy of seeing Lil Bow Wow be sad from breaking it. I guess that's what it is. But it seems a little ridiculous to me. Anyway, next note. Calvin doesn't give Coach a candy bar, even though he accepts the basketball tickets in exchange. So this part is just a little weird. They're selling candy for their orphanage. That part makes sense. And they're doing it outside of the basketball game. And he sees the coach, and he's like, oh, maybe I can sell him chocolate bar. And he's going to buy a chocolate bar. But then he's like, I can't take your money. Which also doesn't make sense to me because, like, I get you respect him because he's the coach of this basketball team you like. But he's clearly got enough money to afford a $2 chocolate bar. Let him pay for the fucking chocolate bar. But he doesn't. And then he's like, okay, you don't want to take my money? Then I'll give you tickets to the basketball game. You can come watch the basketball game. And he's like, well, I'll do that. And he does that. But then he doesn't even get a chocolate bar. Give him the chocolate bar if he gave you tickets. Those are worth a lot of money. My point is the coach deserves a chocolate bar because he gave him tickets. That was supposed to be the deal, you know? Wouldn't the friends be more concerned when Calvin falls from the tree? So I think this is when he gets the powers of Michael Jordan because he climbs up this tree to get the shoes that Ox threw onto an electrical wire, so he's trying to get it. But then when he goes to get the shoes, the lightning strikes, and he strikes the shoes, and he strikes Lil Bow Wow, and Lil Bow Wow falls off with the shoes, and he falls off the tree. And his friends just, like, slowly walk up to him. Like, if that happened to my friend, I'd be, like, rushing over, man, are you okay? Like, what's up? But they're just, like, don't have the reaction that I would expect their friends to have. But, you know, it's fine, I guess. How does Coach know to give Calvin 4 tickets? So like I said, he gave him tickets in exchange for this chocolate bar that he doesn't even get. But he doesn't say how many tickets he wants. He just gives him 4, and it's the perfect amount of tickets. Of course it is. Some things in these types of movies just sort of have to line up, I guess, to a certain extent. But if they just would have thrown in a line like, "Can I get 4 from my buddies or something?" Or like a 3 extra from my buddies or something like that, it just would have made it make a little more sense. Because he just guessed the right amount of tickets, I guess. I mean, I guess. It's possible, but it's a little silly. They say the name of the movie in the movie. And this is one of my favorite sayings of the movie in the movie. Just the delivery, I kind of enjoyed. It's like, "I want to be like Mike." I like that part. The CGI that they use to make Calvin dunk is insane. So for the most part, it looks fine because except for this first shot, they use the technique of like close-ups and they show him dunking in that way, and it makes more sense. But the first time they show it, it's a wide shot, and they show him like basically flying several feet to do a dunk, and it's not the best CGI. It doesn't look great. But I laughed harder at that part than I did the whole movie. I thought it was hilarious. It looked so silly. He's like, like right into the net. It's insane, but I enjoyed it. Let's see here. So this is something that I noticed because I just watched the movie Air, which is another movie to do with Michael Jordan. It's about them getting the deal to make Air Jordans with him. But in that movie, they explain that Michael Jordan wore Adidas for basically his childhood, but he started wearing Nikes when he made the deal, obviously. But my point is that these shoes are Nikes, and they wouldn't be Nike because they're supposed to be Michael Jordan's childhood shoes. But they wouldn't be his childhood shoes, they would be Adidas. So it doesn't make sense. I got you, movie. I'm looking at the facts. Michael Jordan wore Adidas before when he was a kid. So yeah, that doesn't make sense. But, it's fine. I get it. Nike sponsored it. You gotta put Nike in. Why didn't he know where the shoes were? So the first game that Calvin gets put into the NBA, which, by the way, it doesn't make any sense that he gets drafted in the NBA because I looked up the rules. You have to have played at least 1 year of college basketball before you can be on the NBA, and you have to be 19. So that's 2 strikes against Cal. No matter how good you are, you would not get drafted to the NBA if you're 13. It just doesn't make any sense. But if you just forget all that, he gets drafted on the team, and he needs his Magic shoes on. He doesn't think he's going to play, so he's wearing the regular shoes that everybody else wears. But then he does get put into the game, so he's like, I gotta run, I gotta go get my shoes. And if you have something like this that's so valuable to you, wouldn't you put it somewhere where you know where it is? But he's like flinging everything in the locker and shit. I get he's a kid and maybe a little unorganized, but I think he would have, like, because that's something he clearly cares so much about. He would have put it in a safe spot. He would have known where the shoes were. I get they got to add a little drama to that scene. Be like, oh, I don't know where the shoes are for a little bit. But then, of course, he finds them. And he goes and he starts dunking mad balls. Okay, what else we got here on the notes? Calvin going fast in the hotel room is insane. So there's a part, I guess they're just trying to show like how hyper Calvin is as a kid. And they have like the fast forward, him just bopping and running around the room really quick, and it's just like a fever dream, that scene. I'm just like, what is going on? Like, this isn't even funny. It's just crazy, and it goes on a little too long. It's like I don't know about that part. You know what I'm talking about, Anglor?
Yeah, I do. I mean, what I liked about the hotel part specifically was the I ate too much scene, and then Tracy's trying to get his girl in here, but his girl can't come in because the room is garbage because of me.
Yeah, I like that part too.
I mean, that was funny, but yeah, I agree. Well, there's a lot of little things like that I think do just get drawn out of it too much in terms of pacing.
Yes.
Which is really weird to say, because it's like, the movie's short and a lot of stuff feels, pretty fast-paced. It doesn't take its time, but then certain jokes do go on longer than what they should.
Yeah, exactly. I agree completely. All right. Moving on. Well, okay, this song "We Play in Basketball," so good. I love it, and this
Oh yeah, that was great too.
is so awesome. We play in basketball. They play in basketball, and then I didn't even realize that this was Lil Bow Wow. I thought, and this is just an example of my memory not being correct, but I thought this song was in the movie Air Bud, like the one where the dog plays basketball. And it may be also, but I think this is what this movie was. It was made for this movie. It seems like anyway. Lil Bow Wow was maybe
Well, Lil
cast.
Bow Wow actually was a rapper back then,
Yeah, and
and
that's what I
he
mean.
got this. Yeah,
Yeah, that he was a rap, and maybe that he might have already even had that song, and then like, oh, it makes perfect sense to put it in this movie. I'm not sure which order, like which came first, but yeah, absolutely, Lil Bow Wow, and honestly, like he's considering how young he was, not a bad rapper. And they have a scene. Obviously, they're trying to poke fun at the fact that he's a rapper. They have where they're singing.
yeah, we're in the car.
They're singing DMX. And
Yeah.
there's Tracy's like, "You'll never be a rapper," and that's of course a nod at the fact that he is a rapper. Um, but yeah, I love the song "We Play in Basketball." So awesome. And they play it twice in the movie. Once in the middle of the movie and once at the end credits. Good choice. Good choice to play that song twice. Because it's that good. Tracy should not be taking sleeping pills then driving. And I get that that's the point of the scene to have Lil Bow Wow like drive the car and stuff, but I didn't take this guy like he doesn't seem that dumb. And I get that the hot pharmacist is telling you things, so maybe he's not listening to what the hot pharmacist is saying. But like she said take one pill, he takes two pills, and he said take it right before you sleep, and he take it before he drives. Don't take sleeping pills before you drive. That's common sense. But of course we need that to get to the scene with Bow Wow driving the car, of course. Which is kind of funny. He puts the tire on the seat so he can see because he's little things like that are kind of funny. Let's keep reading here with what I.
At least he got suspended for running through the construction site and joyriding.
Yeah, that's true. At least there were some repercussions. That's a good point.
Yeah.
I agree. Oh yeah, and Fred Armisen is in this movie for 1 second. Did you catch that? Do you know who Fred Armisen is?
I didn't catch that actually.
He's in most notably the show Portlandia, but he's in a lot of other stuff too. But he was in this, but he doesn't have a line. It's in the scene where there's all the possible parents to adopt Lil Bow Wow.
And he's one of them.
Yeah, but he doesn't say a word. His wife, or in this scene, says a word. It's the one where they're like hippies, and she says something like, "You'll love my gluten-free iced toast," or something like that. And Fred Armisen is just like smiling right beside him. It's like, oh, Fred Armisen, but that's all you get of him for the whole movie. He doesn't even get a line, but he's in there. I saw it. He's a very distinctive looking guy too, so there's no way it wasn't him. Would paint fuck up the pool? So, in classic silly family movie fashion, there's a scene where they're frolicking and throwing paint on each other, and they're all painted up, and then they jump into the pool. And what's going through my head is, isn't that bad for the pool? Wouldn't that fuck up with the pool? And it's Tracy's pool, but he's not even trying to stop him or anything. He's just, I guess at this point, he's like, fuck it, we're covered in paint. Let's just get crazy.
Like too, when you get all the... It's funny because even though he got paint on the walls himself, he's like, don't paint the windows, and then Calvin paints the windows like a little shit.
Yeah, it's like, fucking listen to Tracy. He owns this mansion. Respect. But yeah, I just thought that was a little bit weird that he didn't care about that. But yeah, like we said, it makes enough sense, I guess. I'll let it slide. But the paint would fuck up the pool probably, I think. I'm not like an expert on pools or anything, but I feel like it would not be good for it. My next note is just turtle sandbox. There's a little scene where you see the turtle sandbox. My only note on that is I used to have that same sandbox. That's all. Cute little turtle sandbox. A couple scenes ended quicker than I thought they would. So this is back to our point of pacing just being a little weird at times. Like there's a part where Tracy has his love interest and they're talking, and she's like, "What's wrong? Is it Calvin?" And then I just felt like I thought that he was gonna answer the question, but then they just cut. And there was another scene that kind of like that, but they cut a little sooner than I thought. So that's all for that note. But a little bit of a nitpick. It's fine. Crispin Glover is fucked. Is one of my notes. So he like really gradually, but by the end he's like you hate him. You don't like him. He's betting against Lil Bow Wow. He's like basically trying to get him killed by the mafia at one point. He's absolutely fucked. And my next note is the mob trying to murder Calvin is insane. Like I get why they're doing it because they want to win this bet or whatever, but in broad daylight trying to run over a child seems a little ridiculous, but
it's like the inspiration for John Wick.
Yeah, just about. Hey, it's almost is that scene is almost reminiscent of that movie. Yeah. My next note is Calvin gets Tracy to adopt another child, which is crazy. So this is sort of built up, and you kind of know where it's going. That Tracy is gonna adopt Calvin, Lil Bow Wow, but then his friend Murph, the kid from Jerry Maguire, and Stuart Little, he's getting sad the whole movie. He's sad that Lil Bow Wow is getting all the attention, that he's gonna get adopted before him. So Lil Bow is like, Murph, come over. And then sort of guilt trips Tracy into adopting Murph. And I'm just like, man, like I get you want to be with your buddy, but it seems a little rude. Like he's already taken you in, and you have to be like, take my friend in too. And to be fair, like he's like, you know what? Yeah, let's do it. Let's adopt both y'all. Of course they have to do that to have this happy ending. But then, what about Brenda's song? She doesn't get adopted. Justice for Brenda Song.
He actually does. Like, you see a picture at the end where she finds a family, but...
Oh, I didn't catch that. I believe you, but I didn't catch that, yeah. Okay, well,
it's not totally abandoned, but it is like here you go for her.
Yeah, okay, well, that's good at least. That makes me happy, actually. I just didn't catch it. So maybe it should...
Like, it's very brief at the ending.
Yeah, maybe it should have been explained better, but that's fine. Calvin gets... I already read that. Why would Murph share a room with Calvin? He snores. And also, they're in this mansion that Tracy owns. Would he not be able to give them each their own room? Maybe they don't want to have their own room, but I think that Murph would want to have his own room because they explain that he gets fed up with Calvin snoring sometimes, and they establish that he snores. So, little thing didn't make sense to me, but again, it's a bit of a nitpick, but... I think that, and definitely they're in this mansion. There's definitely another room that they could have, but yeah. So my last note, and this is sort of an open-ended question, and we're gonna have a discussion now, Anglor, about this. Do you think that the shoes were actually magical, or do you think that it was the power of his confidence wearing the shoes? What do you think, Anglor?
I mean, I want to say it's the shoes, but like, he doesn't play terribly once he doesn't have them, but he is noticeably worse.
Yeah. And
like, it's like he improved, but...
Yeah, I have a similar feeling to you. And what I think is, I think they are magic for one reason and one reason alone. Is that at the beginning they show him flying. So like that's magic. That's fucking magic. So I think it is sort of open ended, like, oh, was he? Which I like. I'm glad that they didn't just straight up say it and be like, oh, the power was in you all along, and they didn't do that cliche at least. So
yeah, because I think the way they handle that is, like I was saying, he's noticeably worse without the shoes, but he still is able to get Tracy in position to win the game.
Yeah, exactly. And I like that. I like that Tracy gets the winning basket because I think every other basket that we get shown in the movie is done by Lil Bow Wow.
It's literally him just destroying all these dudes.
Yeah, and which is part of the fun, right? Especially when you're a kid watching this, being like, oh, it would be so cool to be a kid and beating all these adults at basketball. So I definitely get that. But yeah, I think the shoes were magic. That's what I'm going with. But But yeah, like you said, exactly. It's a little open ended, and I like that. But that's the end of what I have to say. Do you have anything else you want to add that we didn't mention?
Uh, Not really. I mean, I expected the movie to be kind of garbage, and well, it's not amazing.
Yeah.
Like looking at it as a kid's movie, it's certainly, like there's a lot worse kids movies that get made.
Oh,
Like,
hands
really.
down, absolutely. And did you watch this as a kid?
No, I didn't.
Have you seen this before watching it now?
I no, like this is
Oh,
my
this is
first
your
actual
first
time watching it.
That's
What
funny. That's
what
awesome.
what kind of appealed to me was there was this one DVD of some other show I had, and there was a trailer for Like Mike in there. Like, you should check this out.
Yeah. Oh, I see. And you're like, oh, that looks crazy. I totally
Yeah,
understand. But
exactly. I've like just the whole stuff about Michael Jordan shoes always stuck in my head.
yeah, that's fair. Yeah, I like this, and yeah, I watched it as a kid, and I remember liking it quite a bit as a kid. But yeah, I think we rented it from the video store back in the day of video stores, of course. But yeah, I think I'm gonna rate this now, and well, it's not amazing, like you said. It was fun, and it is better than a lot of a lot of kids movies, to be fair. So like Mike, I'm giving it 6.5 out of 10 dogs. I think that's fair. It's not gonna win any Academy Awards or anything, but it's not a
Yeah.
terrible film, and it was kind of fun, and it made me laugh more than I thought, and once really really hard when they show him CGI jumping and dunking. But yeah, 6.5 out of 10 dogs. What do you want to give it, Anglor?
I'd go 7. Like,
You
I
go
mean,
7. Fair. That's
that
fair.
seems fair to me.
Yeah. 7 out of 10 Anglors and
Yeah.
6.5 out of 10 dogs for Like Mike, starring Lil Bow Wow from 2002.